That's how we open this one. Um,
All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way.
yeah. um, you know what? There was something I wanted to talk to you about to open this with. Something,
Uh-huh.
something real cool. Oh, I can't remember. Um, but while I'm thinking about it, damn, what the hell was I gonna say, dude? It was like real meaty stuff. I was literally saving it for the
Yeah.
intro. Oh,
Yeah. I
I'm
was
really,
something that something really good, right? Something you probably should have remembered before you started recording the show.
you
Is that
know,
was it something like that, Joe?
yeah. Oh well. Have you well, um, we both ended up, we're going back to theaters now, right? So we got to see we got to see Spiral in the theaters, which is the first movie we're reviewing today. Later on in the show after the movie news. But um, well, we haven't been able to like the times have been weird with the showings. They've been like less frequent because well, not less free, they've just been later in the day, I think, with less showings because they don't have like as much money, and like, they don't want to lose more
Right.
money.
They're trying to see. I think they're also trying to gauge. They're assuming that people are going to start coming into the theater slowly, you know? So they're trying to gauge like what the interest is right now.
Yeah.
How many people are actually coming right now?
Yeah, I will say it's definitely already gone. I mean, the first week Spiral came out, we couldn't even like, the times were just so late that we couldn't even really
Yeah.
get to see it. So, but this week it was way better. So, I think
Oh
they
yeah, there's all kinds of them now. I'm looking at it.
yeah. So,
Nice.
maybe it was just like, I wonder how, are
A
there like a
slow, a slow.
yeah.
What
Are
do they
there a
call
bunch
that?
of showings for A Quiet Place too? Like right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it was just a, since Regal was just reopening a bunch of places, like, that makes sense. Um, I will say though, I went to see this movie, no one in the theater. Um,
Yep.
it was pretty sick though. Dude, it really
That's the
made
way
me
I like
wish.
it.
It really reminded me of the good old movieplex days, and it really made me wish. I wish more than anything that we could have seen this movie together, because there are a few moments that I feel like would have been so like good, like just with both of us alone in that theater, like
No siree.
like
Nope.
yep. I think it would have been very
Well,
comical.
you'll get a. I mean, I'm sure we'll go. We'll probably see Quiet Place together, so
Yeah,
we can.
true. True. And
Yeah.
that movie has one of the most memorable, that was one of the most memorable that's not going to be an empty theater though. So we're not going to be able to get up out of our chairs like we were.
If we go at the right time, maybe we can
True.
finagle it.
True. Remember, you literally got up out of your chair during the one scene. I'll never forget it. It was
Yeah.
oh, it was incredible. That there are so many things that like, you know,
That
I
that same year,
yeah.
I stood up during a different movie. It
Uh-huh.
was not one we saw together, but the other movie that like my body did it, but I didn't make it happen.
Yeah.
Was X-Men Dark
Yep,
Phoenix
I remembered
when
this. Yep.
Cyclops says, "I'll fucking kill you" to Magneto or whatever. My body was like, "Let's leave," before I could even realize what was going on. I just stood up and like put my hands on my hips like we were going. It was rough.
That's so funny. That's so fucking funny. I yeah. That that's crazy. I will say I do love being back in the theater, and I do like the theater experience. Like, a lot of people, some people don't like the theater at all because like they just don't like being around like the other people like ruin the experience for them, right? But like in most cases for me, most people are pretty you know, not like, you know, with, you know, you always get exceptions, but for the most part, like I usually have a pretty good experience. And I do enjoy like sitting in the theater with with a group and like having that kind of energy. Um, but there are certain like for example, like seeing a Star Wars movie or like
Yeah.
a movie
Marvel movie.
with like a fan base, right? But like
Hmm.
with a horror movie, it's like I think I prefer being in an empty theater cuz there's like I don't have to feel weird about like how I react. Like if there was anyone other than you in this theater when during this movie, there are some reactions that physical reactions that I had that I wouldn't have wanted anyone to see, and I don't know how like I would have held
Yeah,
that in. Like, so I enjoy
I
having
know
an
what you
empty.
mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see
Yeah, that's a good call.
yeah, was it an empty theater for you as well? That's
Hmm.
pretty. Oh,
So I was just saying things at the
yeah.
movie, which I definitely wouldn't have done if there were other
No.
people there.
Yeah, I also love doing that. Like, yeah, dude. Yeah. There's being in an empty theater is a joy in itself. I don't like it every time, but I do like it for certain movies, and this was one of the movies that I was like, yeah, I'm completely okay with this, like me being alone in this scenario. Like, it's not the end of the world. Um, anyhow, welcome to Film Juice, show where we talk about movies, TV news, and you know, usually I open the show with like a random topic, but this time it was actually on brand. So there we go. Look at us go, talking about movies and TV shows. I'm your host Joe Dorado.
And I'm Andrew Canada, and I host this show alongside my co-host, host of Film Juice, Joe Dorado.
Some would say that correct. Um, we got a good one today. I'm so excited. This one is
Me
gonna
too.
be, yeah. So, I mean, like, let's just fucking jump right into it because we got some exciting and crazy movie news. I don't even know where to start. So why don't you?
Let's start. Let's
Yeah.
start with this right here. They're doing
Oh boy.
they're doing a Willy Wonka
Yeah.
prequel, and Timothy Chalamet is now signed on to play Willy Wonka.
Yep. Yes, he is.
Good choice for a movie that, look, I feel like, so many people, oh, this movie's unnecessary, that movie's unnecessary. It gets thrown a lot about sequels and things like that. This might be the most unnecessary movie that I've ever seen. And I hate to say that because I don't like to sound like those folks, but
Yeah.
this is so stupid. I think it's
It
so
is very
dumb. What are you
stupid.
gonna do? You're gonna create a Willy Wonka cinematic universe, you stupid fucks.
They already
Oh my
tried with
God, it's so
Charlie in the.
dumb.
They already tried with that movie, and I do
No,
not
because
like
that
that
was that
movie.
was a remake. That was a remake. That's totally different.
Yeah, I do not like that movie. That movie was some people. There was a fan base for that movie, and
Sure.
I'm sorry, because that movie's just not enjoyable. Um,
Eh.
it has moments,
Somebody
but
said
I'm not a fan.
the one thing that I'll be interested in this is the Oompa Loompa stuff. If he like discovers the Oompa Loompas in this movie,
I get,
because I
yeah,
want to know what the deal is with that.
yeah. I just,
What?
I just think it's. I just agree. I just think it's like a terrible. I just think it's stupid. Like I just don't. I
It's really
liked the
dumb.
thing that sucks is I like Timothy Chalamet, but like it.
Oh, of course.
I just hate the idea of taking properties that it's just an obvious money grab, and that's what is frustrating about it. It's the same thing with the Pirates
Right.
of the Caribbean reboot that's happening. It's the same thing with the fucking. But the thing with the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot is
Yes.
like
So.
I can at least see with that one that like they can do something different with it. But the issue with this is like
Yeah.
there's nothing. There's nothing. It's just Willy
Well,
Wonka should
yeah.
have been its
That's the
own
thing.
fucking thing, and that's it. Like the one
And it
movie.
was,
Yeah,
and it was.
exactly.
And using the pirates example, there's a whole world of there. There's a whole world there.
Yeah.
There's and with when you have characters adventuring like Jack Sparrow, like a Jack Sparrow
Hmm.
prequel movie, that I would watch for
I
sure.
would watch that.
You
That'd be pretty
expand
sick.
where different people go. Yeah, that's something. This is this is nothing. This is
Yeah.
nothing.
And
You
there's
said
literally
it.
yeah.
It's got nothing to go on.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have to, and I mean, not that the others have like source material, but but in those movies,
Mm-hmm.
continuing with that example, they literally go out into an unending sea of
Yeah.
adventure with the now source material for Willy Wonka.
Mm.
It's all takes place just in the factory. Everything
Yeah.
we've seen before that is just there. So the audience's idea of Willy Wonka is it's self-contained, and
Yeah.
that's something you have to take into account.
Ay, it's
And
yeah.
part of I don't know, Willy Wonka's kind of a mysterious character,
Well,
so
yeah, but
I don't know. It's
it's
just dumb. We
stupid. It
can
is
only
dumb.
say it so many times. It's
It's
dumb.
very obvious that it's just a money grab, and that sucks.
Yeah, and I also hate saying because like everything's a money grab.
But it's
So,
like insane. Like
you know,
it doesn't.
just
Yeah,
go.
everything's a money grab, sure, but it doesn't have any
Yeah.
substance other than that to it.
Right.
Um.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So yeah, you know what it kind
Let's
of
move
reminds me
on.
of? Well, I was just gonna say it kind of reminds me of Jungle Cruise, um, a little bit, where like it's just like a like how like why does this
No, I think
movie?
here no,
I
here's the
don't know.
difference again for me because Jungle Cruise has a freedom because they only have they have like nothing to go off of.
True.
Willy Wonka still like nobody has any preconceived notions of what that movie can be.
Yeah. True. Fair enough. Next on the agenda.
Yeah. Let's talk about the trailer we got for Edgar Wright's new movie, Last Night in
Holy
Soho.
shit! Did you say Solo?
Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie, yes,
Mm-hmm.
from Jojo Rabbit, who I really like.
Yeah.
Um, wacky, excellent trailer. You texted me and you said this is the best trailer I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I think you were pretty spot on. It was a very, very good trailer.
Fucking
Um,
insane.
this is also seems like a type of movie that lends itself. If you do it right, you can really take a movie like this and make a good trailer because there's something mysterious in the movie already, and that's what you're gonna sell to people, right?
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, that's what I'm ready to watch this because I want to know what's going on. This trailer did not get it. It told us what happens without giving anything away.
It's the last time I liked a
Perfectly
trailer.
executed.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I was thinking about it because I was like, man, when's the last time I saw a trailer that got me this excited for a movie? And you know what it was? And it's not because they're similar movies. Like, don't get that twisted. Um, but the last time I saw a trailer and I was like, I cannot wait to see this fucking movie, was La La Land, because the La La Land trailer, you know, you can say whatever you want about that movie, but that trailer, like, it nailed exactly like what it was trying to show. And just the colors and the aesthetic and the visuals in the trailer were just
Yeah.
spot on. And that's exactly what this trailer does. Um Obviously completely different movies. Well, who knows, maybe this is a sequel. Um but it's that's like the last time I saw a trailer that got me that excited. The other ones that came to mind were Blade Runner 2049 and Dune. Those were the other ones that came to mind for trailers that like got me really excited. But no, this
I
is the
think this is
best.
probably the best out of all those that you
Oh,
named.
I agree. I agree. It's just
Yeah.
it's insane. It's they don't make trailers well anymore. And this one is made really, really fucking well. It's just everything about it. And you know what? I was talking to my friend about it, and I want to say it here. I think you might have noticed this too. Like, first of all, this is so different for Edgar Wright, right? Like this, we we've seen him. Most of his movies other than Baby Driver, most of his big movies are based in comedy. There is a base in comedy. Obviously, you have the, I know it's not called this, but it's like, I'm just gonna reference it as this. You have the Hot Fuzz trilogy, where it's Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, the 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 one when they're in the bar, the
At
yeah
World's End.
the alien one. Then you have um Scott Pilgrim,
Gotti.
and I guess those are the
Yeah,
ones that are
nothing
based in
funny about
comedy.
that movie.
Okay, whatever. And then you have Baby Driver, which was his first movie since those ones, and it was the first little taste we got of kind of something that's not based in comedy, but there is still, like, the thing about that movie is it's very, just from the trailer alone, you could still tell, like, it was very clearly Edgar Wright, because Edgar Wright has this kind of, like, cartoony style, like, and that's not a bad thing. That's like he owns it. Like, it's just that's the best way I can describe it. Is it's like kind of I just cartoony is the best way I can describe it, I feel like. And he still had that in this movie. Sure, it was an action movie that had, like, it was based around music and stuff, but there was still like funny moments in it, but also just the whole style and vibe of it was his still, like, similar, like, style. And this movie, like, it, I would have had no idea it was Edgar Wright directing this movie if I didn't see his name on it. Like, it doesn't even, it's unrecognizable. It's kind of insane. And I think he purposely, obviously I think he had a hand in the trailer, and I think he purposely put shots in this trailer that are like more unfamiliar, like, to his other movies. I think he kind of, like, or maybe the whole movie's like that, which is also great. Like, there are still moving shots in it, but, like, this movie is very different just from the trailer. Very different from anything we've ever seen from him. Like, stylistically and just, obviously genre. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about Edgar Wright is, like, we all know he's going to be able to pull it off,
Oh
whatever he
yeah,
dips his toes into. So
it's
this is
yeah.
going to be a good movie. It's going to be one to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
Two more things I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
This one's just kind of a light, dumb thing that
Mm-hmm.
I saw J.J. Abrams said recently. I don't know where he said it, but he said that the Star Wars sequel trilogy
Yeah.
um, taught him. He learned a lesson. He learned that it is critical to plan ahead, otherwise you don't know what you're setting up. And that is one. I mean, one, it's a very obvious statement. Two, um, it's unbelievable that he has just learned that.
Yeah.
But from what I understand about of how some people feel about Lost, maybe
Yep.
there's something, maybe there's a
Yep.
pattern here.
Yep. I was just
Um,
gonna say.
Three, perfect way to sum up that trilogy.
Oh yeah.
And four, um, it was a little disheartening to hear because it definitely means that we didn't get the best they could give us.
Oh, I think that
You
was
know what I mean?
obvious. Yeah.
No, no, no. What I'm saying is they didn't try their hardest to give us something good. Because there's a
Yeah.
difference between getting something disappointing, like the way the trilogy is,
Mm-hmm.
and when they put it out, but they're like, this is what we got. We put everything here, here it
Mm-hmm.
is. And then people just don't like it. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But this is like, eh, give them some slop and we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yep.
They'll eat it up.
Yep.
So that's upsetting.
Yeah.
But what a thing to say.
I want to say, I do want to say, I don't think. I mean, from what I know of that trilogy of the behind the scenes is, obviously it was originally supposed to be directed by 3 different people, and it was only directed by 2 different people because after The Last Jedi, they just fired the other guy who was supposed to do the third one. Um, and I still think that was a mistake, but what are you gonna do? But I want to say that I don't want to necessarily say that that means it's like I don't think you're saying this, but I don't think like this necessarily means that it's like JJ's like fault for
Of course, it's tons of
yeah.
people's fault.
Well, cuz the whole I mean they just shouldn't have had if they had 3 different directors direct each like the movies, they should have at least had them work on the outline together, right? And they clearly didn't do that. It was just like
No, but somebody should have done that.
yeah,
It's tough to get 3 guys like that in a room together and say like, plan out this thing for us, and you're
it's
only going to
Star
direct one of
Wars.
these. But
It's
whatever
Star
team,
Wars. They could have done
whatever
it.
the Lucas team.
Yeah,
No, that's I think that's a dumb thing to ask of them. But there's obviously people at Lucasfilm who that is their job,
yeah,
and who knows what they did. Maybe it was just something like they had these guys come in and tell them their ideas, and they were
mm-hmm.
too afraid to tell them that like this might not mesh with everything else, so they just did it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just think it's in general. It's yeah. It's yeah. Not a it's you know it's its own thing. But yeah, that is pretty. That's crazy that he said that. Where did he say that? Like that's just fucking insane.
I have no idea. So the last thing is some pretty wild news,
Mm-hmm.
some historic news for sure, is that Amazon purchased MGM Studios for
Insane.
$8.45 billion. That's probably a pretty accurate amount for what the potential worth of that studio is, because if you take the back catalog is really what you're paying for there, and then also I think you're paying for the reason you buy it is the potential that you can really have that studio reach its full potential now with all of the streaming assets
Mm-hmm.
at your fingertips if you're
Yeah.
Amazon. But it's a crazy thing, you know. This was one of the original Hollywood movie studios, and it's kind of I was trying to think of something to compare this to. It's kind of like if, you know, in the 1920s, somebody had like purchased all of Rockefeller's railroads, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's an institution. It's an institution, and now it's been purchased by this very successful but very young company, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And it's just strange that we get to see this type of change happen in our lifetime, because I mean it's just the way things go, you
Yeah.
know.
I kind of dislike it,
Rome
but
falls and stuff, but
yeah.
what do
Not
you
my.
dislike about it?
I just. I don't know enough about like this kind of stuff to make like too much of a comment on it, but I will say it's so take what everything I say with a grain of salt, as you always should. But um uh I just this is just in general, just every it how do I even explain this? I feel like there are some companies that are just getting insanely huge. Like obviously Disney's the big one that everyone talks about, but Apple's pretty big. There's Google, there's Amazon. Now Amazon's becoming the biggest one now at this like almost at
Yeah.
this point. So like but everyone's just like buying each other. And I just like I feel like I don't know. I don't like the idea of instead of having a bunch of different sources, just having these giant umbrella sources. I mean, I don't like the idea of like monopolies and like I mean I'm not I don't like I said I might be using that term wrong, but it's just like it's kind of insane that like MGM is one of the biggest, like they were huge and it's like so it's just kind of crazy that like now they're overseeing completely new management and like I don't know, a lot could change easily, a lot could very much change with them, and I don't know, it just seems weird, I don't like it. I just don't like the idea of Amazon owning like everything. I don't like the idea of Disney owning everything. Like it's just not like, not saying that bad stuff is gonna come from it. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just weird.
It's hashtag bad vibes, bro.
It really is. It's just it's crazy though. It really is.
It do be like that. And
Yeah.
honestly though, it do be like that.
Like do you feel like similarly like, or do you just like it's not that big of a deal?
I think that in this instance, monopolies aren't good, obviously,
Yeah.
because the driving force of capitalism is competition.
Yeah.
So you need that. Um, in this instance, I think that again, it's weird because MGM was so huge, and it's still obviously a massive studio,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all gonna fall apart soon enough. So to
Yeah.
me, it's more like imagine somebody. It's so hard to imagine in the future that somebody would buy McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
But imagine that people stop going to McDonald's, and still a lot of people, but not nearly as much as they
Mm-hmm.
used to. So now McDonald's, even though our perception of it is still this do 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 do, it's much less than that. And
Yeah.
it's weird again because it's an institution to see it bought up, but it's just not what's inevitably going to be a sustainable way of doing things. Their time, things
Yeah.
things fall apart.
Yeah, true. I really hope, I just hope this doesn't mean that like at a certain point, I mean obviously like isn't A24 also owned by Amazon, or is that not the case? A24 is still like its own thing, but
No idea. I feel like A24 is definitely owned by somebody and probably always has been,
yeah.
but I don't
I
know
know
what
like
company
the
owns
only
them.
reason why I can't remember if it's the only reason why I suspected that it was Amazon was because like all the A24 movies are like always on Amazon. Um but anyway, the only thing is like for I'm just worried for filmmakers. I guess
I hear you,
because
but but look at where we're at now though.
mhm.
This is the best time to get a movie made. People are starving for content.
No,
It's
sure.
cheaper than ever before. You can shoot shit with your phone and have it
Mhm.
still look good. People that want to make things are always going to find a way to make things and get them in front of people. And a lot of these people that, we may be worried about, they weren't going to go to MGM anyways. They weren't going to go to these studios anyways. They're all going to
For sure, but this is the main thing though that you brought up is the fact that obviously like the driving force of all of this is competition. Without competition, shit like gets lazy. And um I don't see at a certain point what competes with Amazon. If Amazon buys out every movie studio, what fucking competes with that? Like,
it's not it well, when you're talking about an artistic pursuit, I think it's not even for a filmmaker, right? The driving force is not necessarily money. So it's not even really that
no.
you want to compete with Amazon because
Yeah.
you'll never get to that level. That's not the point. The point is to make something better than the product that they put out,
Yeah.
even if it makes less money. And that's people are always gonna. That's never gonna stop.
No, I know. I think I'm talking more about like distribution wise.
Right.
Because I'm not saying that this stops people from making what they want to make, because that's not the case. I just think it's going to be harder to get certain things seen from like such a dominating
Right. You might have to be like if you want people to see it, but you got to put it on Amazon. But that's even though they're huge, and they still exist in a digital space, right? And they can have people go to them more than anybody else, but it's not really a viable idea to try and muscle people in a digital space because you could create a website right now and put all your shit on there. Even back in the 90s, people would just pass around videotapes of like, independent things, whatever. People are going to see these things, and if they're good, people are going to notice, and it's going to come into something bigger. That's way easier now, and it's going to continue to be easier no matter how much the man tries to own everything.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you think it's going to be similar to the Disney Fox scenario, and do you think that that they're gonna get rid of like the MGM like logo, or they're just gonna like just keep? Because remember how 20th Century like there was I don't think they do the da, 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 da. Like I don't think they do that anymore. Like do you think they're gonna do the same thing with like the MGM brand?
They still do that.
They do still do that? I thought
it's just called 20. Yeah,
oh,
it's just 20th Century. Yeah, they still do that with other stuff. I don't know,
but hopefully they don't fuck it up.
too early to tell.
Yeah.
They might just, well, it all depends. I mean,
yeah,
MGM is a brand that people trust, but at the end of the day, how many folks are really going to miss that lion if instead you just put the Amazon Studios animation up top?
I would be upset. That would be so disheartening.
But you won't, but let me tell you, you're not even going to realize it because it's just going to be gone.
I know.
So it's not going to be like, oh, this was supposed to be an MGM movie and now it's an Amazon. It's just Amazon. You're not even going to miss it.
No, I disagree. I think it would be if you when we start seeing the Amazon logos, that's just where the MGM logo would most likely be. And
but you're not even gonna know.
I don't know. I just think
because Amazon already makes movies. They already have movies with their studio, so they're just gonna put out that. I mean, potentially, I feel like they'll probably keep MGM name as a company and doing that stuff. Joe, you can't.
What?
You're not even gonna realize it. You're not gonna realize it when you're sitting there because it's not gonna be like an MG.
That doesn't make me feel better about it. It's just it's like when you know what it's like. Do you remember? You know what? Really quick, and then we can move on. Because I know I'm like harping on this a lot. Do you know? Remember name drop? Remember in Fredonia, Upper Crust? Remember that? That like spot?
Oh. Yeah, it's right on the.
Yeah. It's like a bake shop. Okay, so that place was when we first got there. That was a really cool spot. It was it was classic. It was old school. There was just like all these like it was owned by these two older people, and it was just like it was very homey, very very homey. It was a great space. And the food was great, and it was excellent. It was just excellent time every time I went there. And then, I think, like, the last year... I don't think you were at Fredonia, but the last year that I was there, they got bought out by... Or it might have even been the year before, but they got bought out by a younger, like, company. Or a younger, like younger people. And they took the money, because it was a lot of money, and they were like... They were assured that it wasn't going to change. Like, the branding wasn't going to change and everything was going to still stay how it was, just like some new improvements. And now you go in there a year later, and it looks like a completely different. It's not even the same place. Everything, all the wooden like amazing all the like wooden style and the old like homey feeling is just completely gone. They completely ditched that aesthetic, and now it's just white and fake marble, and it was like honestly one of the saddest things that I ever like. It's one of the saddest things like that I ever experienced with like seeing a business that I loved just get completely, just all its personality sucked out of it. It's just insane. Like, and I just, so that's why I like, I
Hmm.
just, I really dislike it.
Got it. Here's why you just made my point for me.
Mm-hmm.
With that example, you're talking about a physical place. You have gone to this physical spot many times, and now it's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
This is not because that building used to say upper crust, and it
Mm-hmm.
looked like the upper crust that you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Now it looks different. But you're still going to that same building, so you obviously have those memories, and you're upset that this place has kind of been tarnished now.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the movie, that's there's no memory of MGM when you go to see this now. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing. It's not a physical, like it's not like there's it's not like I said, it's not like it's going to be an
Yeah.
MGM movie now by Amazon Studios. You're going to have nothing to trigger it's just going to be presented to you as an Amazon movie.
Yeah. True.
It's kind of it's like if well, I thought of something earlier, but I can't remember. So you won't. I mean, if they do that, we're not even gonna notice.
True.
It's just gonna happen.
Well, yeah. We won't, I guess, necessarily notice, but we won't notice that it was we probably won't notice that it was a product of the MGM thing, but we will notice like if we get like bad bland movies, but obviously like that's what.
All movies are like no. I mean that won't we won't notice that then
What do you mean?
because what MGM was putting out a bunch of great
No, 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 no.
movies.
I just no, no, no. All I was saying was, I think I was just trying to say that I think that if Amazon just starts putting out a shit ton of content and it's more
Yeah.
quantity over quality, that's all I was saying. I think then we'll see that. We'll notice that. That's all I was saying.
Right, but that's completely separate from anything to do with MGM.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's pretty interesting
The
stuff.
I think the realization that I've come to
Mm-hmm.
in this conversation is that it's pretty easy to just erase an institution when it's based in intellectual property. Because like the McDonald's example I said before,
Yeah.
it would be like the upper crust situation that you talked about. You would go into this, oh, this used to be McDonald's. But with this, you can just scrub it off, and then because it's not like it's because there was never a set place for it.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking circles, but we all know what we're saying around here.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll keep it around or if not. They very well might. I feel like they probably will
I think they
for
would too.
you know whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but let's get into the movies now.
Yeah.
After that, I'm glad we talked about that though.
No, that was great. We don't talk about like that kind of stuff very often because we don't usually get the. I mean, usually this isn't an everyday occurrence. This huge of a
Oh,
news.
exactly. Yeah.
It's unprecedented for sure. I mean, did we even mention the amount? It was absurd. It's
Yeah.
insane.
$8.45 billion.
It's fucking crazy.
I feel like that's pretty accurate.
That's no, I'm not even saying it's inaccurate. It's just
But
like
just thinking about that much money
a
just
billion is
floating
just
around.
a billion in general is just an insane number. Like
Yeah.
it is such in 1 billion is such a nuts amount of anything. Like
Yeah.
it, it's just
But you
crazy.
know what? Back in back in 1830, they would have said the same thing about 1,000.
Yeah.
Like, oh, 1,000. Imagine that
I don't think we're
in
ever
terms
going to
of
get to
money.
the point where 1 billion is not a lot of money, though.
Of course we will. Of course we will.
You think that we're going to. You think the human race is going to get to the point. I don't think.
It depends. It depends on how long. If we could last for forever, then of
Okay,
course we would.
sure. I'm talking. Okay, I don't think.
It's a race between inflation and the sun burning out, Joe. And it's hard not to pick the sun in that instance, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that yeah, of course we could.
If the
Of
sun
course that's
didn't
where we
burn
would
out,
get to.
yeah. But. Yeah. But I think the sun's lifetime is shorter than the lifetime of 1 billion, which is a crazy thing to even like think of. But that's nuts. Anyways, 1 billion is a big number. It's a fucking huge number. So anyhow, we got a crazy. We got some good movies to talk about today as well. I'm really excited to talk about both. And yeah, let's get into this first one. I guess let's talk about we were talking about at the beginning of the show. The first movie today is Spiral, starring Chris Rock, Samuel Jackson, and I guess I should say the subtitle for this movie is from the Book of Saw.
The Book of Saw. Okay.
And so it is. I don't know what the best way to put it. Is it? Would you say this is a spin-off or?
It takes well.
It's in the same universe, so
Call it a spin-off.
it's not
It's
like a
like
remake.
Joey to Friends, right? It's a
Yeah.
spin-off.
Okay, so
No, it's a spin-off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Spin-off.
So it is a
I think
spin-off.
you could have potentially. Well, I haven't seen it, so whatever. But yeah, so it's a spin-off.
Yeah, it's a spin-off in the Saw universe, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, and it's written by Pete Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg, and it basically follows Chris Rock, who is a detective, and there is a bunch of killings happening that are very similar to the Saw killings, or the Jigsaw from the Jigsaw Killer, which happened, I guess, in this movie universe. It happened like in the past. They already caught the Jigsaw Killer, and this Jigsaw Killer is focusing on cops and is hunting cops. So Chris Rock is the head detective. Corrupt cops. So Chris Rock is the head detective on the case, and he's trying to catch Jigsaw, and yeah, that's kind of it. If you're not familiar with how Jigsaw kills people, the whole thing is Jigsaw will put his victims in scenarios where they have to go through some pretty gruesome traps or what's the word I'm looking for?
Traps is a good word.
Yeah, go through these traps or like games or something like that, or puzzles.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
basically there's no way, like, it's either you escape with your life, but you always lose something in that process, or you just die. I know that might be a weird way to explain it, but like there's always like the whole point.
Was explained perfectly.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's this movie. That's basically what the trailer gives you. So,
yeah. I've never seen any of the Saw movies
I was just gonna ask you
this.
that. Me neither.
Really?
I saw bits and pieces. Like, I've never seen a Saw movie all the way through.
That.
I've seen.
Oh wow.
I've seen bits and pieces of the Saw movies. Like, I've seen the famous like scenes. Like, I've seen the scene in the first Saw movie with the saw, and
Okay.
he's handcuffed to the
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
thing, and he has to saw his arm off or whatever. But so I've seen the very famous like traps, but other than that,
Hmm.
that's all I've seen. Um, I
Huh.
actually know most of my Saw stuff from the Scary Movie movies. Was it Scary
That's
Movie?
not a good sign. I think it's not the first one. So
It's the third one, I think.
it might be this. That
Or is it
sounds
the
right because
fourth
I
one?
don't think it's a second
It's the
either.
third or the
I don't
fourth.
know. It's
But yeah, but
I don't know.
anyway, um, but yeah. Well, why do you think I saw these movies? Like you, because
I don't know. You see creepy movies.
but this is like a whole
I
nother
feel like you saw them when
brand
you were,
that
which
we'll
is
get
true,
into.
and I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this movie, if I had to compare it to any other movies, they kind of remind me of like not I'm not saying they're the same quality. I'm just saying they kind of remind me of the Final Destination movies where
Mm,
you're
right.
you're going for kind of what's gonna happen, and you're kind of going
Right.
for the gruesomeness.
Yeah.
I, and I'm not a huge fan of that like kind of horror. Like some people are, and that's fine. I It is not for me. It's just
No.
that doesn't mean that like I'm gonna judge this movie poorly based on that. It's just I would not seek it out. So that's why I've never seen the Saw movies all the way through. It's just I just don't really enjoy like watching a movie of just insanely gruesome shit. Um and like that's kind of what and the Final Destination movies are nowhere close to as gruesome as like the Saw movies from what I've seen. But that kind of similar idea where the Final Destination movies, like you know what you're in for, you know what you're in for the Saw movies as well. Um, but this one, is obviously going at a different angle.
Yeah, the thing that worked about this movie for me
Mm-hmm.
was actually the story.
Oh boy.
Like when it was just, I mean, it was more intriguing anyway. Like that, I kind of liked that.
Okay.
The actual mystery part of it. I was like, "Oh,
Oh
there's a
yeah,
movie here," and
yeah.
then you chop it up with these scenes of some of the just insane
It's insane.
bodily trauma
It's insane.
that's
It
happening to people.
It is
It's
so. Oh god, it's nuts. They go all out. I thought that they weren't gonna really go all out on the traps in this movie because it seemed like they were trying to cater to a different audience. So
yeah,
I didn't think they were gonna go all out on the traps, and I think they go pretty. The traps are. I gotta tell you, they seem pretty gruesome. They're pretty
oh yeah. I
nuts.
mean, yeah,
I gotta say, the
yeah.
that being said, the practical effects in this movie are amazing. They are fucking incredible. Someone told me after I watched this movie, they were like, you know what, it kind of makes sense that like if you're super into like SFX makeup and stuff, like these movies would be amazing to study because of how like they're all practical effects. Like
That is crazy.
at least the a lot of the traps are. Like that's why it looks so fucking like gross. It's like or even if it's not all practical, it's like a mix between like practical and like special. Like it's hard to watch, but I can't say it's not well done. It's very fucking well done. It looks very real, and that's why it's so hard to watch. It's fucking insane. So, I mean, I got to give them props for these effects. They're really well done. Like very very realistic.
Yeah. Yep. Good for them. Oh my God.
Did you
I was
like
like, oh, there
yeah.
was one part where, so there was one part where, uh, it was a couple of these, couple killings in.
Mhm.
I was like, I don't want to see the next one, whatever it is. So this will kind of lead me into the one thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
So I stuck around to see what the result of the thing happening was. Just at the beginning, so I could see what happened to the person
Mm.
without having to see the thing on the TV and then them actually experiencing the trap. Which brings me to this kind of interesting thing I want to talk about. The way that they present a lot of the information, but we'll talk about this trap specifically first, is through these flashbacks, which at first I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I did not understand exactly. It was really surprising to me because I guess they do it with the first one, kind of, don't they? But we see not entirely, because we see how the first person ends up in their
Yeah.
trap. Oh no, they don't do it at all with the first one. Yeah, so after the first one, they start doing this thing where, because all the Chris Rock's character keeps receiving packages
Yeah.
after each killing with different clues and different things in them, and so he'll receive a package and we'll see, there'll be something inside that's kind of grotesque. And then
Mm.
we will see the person that was killed and how they got trapped and stuff.
Mm.
And like I said, at first I was like, what? But then once I kind of got an understanding of what was going on, I was like, I kind of like that. I also kind of liked doing it that way. Really felt to me like anybody could be next,
Yeah.
because you initially you never have that scene where it's somebody like walking into a building alone before you see that they're
Yeah.
like dead, right?
Yeah. I agree. This movie did have some twists and turns that did work. Some of them did not, but some of them definitely did like throw me
No,
off and I was
I think,
surprised.
yeah.
Um,
If you go into this movie with your head on, you know what's happening
yeah.
like right
There's
away,
like
basically.
there's just a few small ones. Like the big one that they go for, there's like a big like the big mystery of the whole thing was like that was I was kind of bummed
Yeah,
how easy I
everybody
was
knew that was
kind of
going
bummed
on.
how easy it was to figure that one out.
They do a little bit there. They
They
try they
tried. They tried.
try
They
and do
tried.
a little they try to do a little footwork there,
Halfway through the
but you're still
movie,
not surprised.
yeah, like halfway through the movie, I knew for a fact that it was like I was like, oh yeah, like I had a suspicion in the beginning, and then halfway through the movie, I was like, no, there's like no fucking way that it's not this person now. But um, so when you say that you like stuck around for the ends, so does that mean like you didn't watch the traps?
No, I so no, I did. It's just the one I didn't watch. But I don't even know, looking
Hmm.
back now, I don't even know which one it would be. It was the um it was the I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
So I
just like.
saw they went to a place.
Hmm.
They went to a place and there was a, a murdered person there.
Hmm.
And so I saw like how they were killed,
Hmm.
or like what killed them, but I didn't see the killing happening just
Oh,
for that
was
one
it the
because I went to
first?
the bathroom. Yeah, no, it was the third one, or I think it was the third one.
Okay, 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 okay. Was it? Can I? I'll just say this because I want to know if you saw this one because this is the one that fucked me up the most, and I'm not gonna say what it is, but did it
Uh,
involve water? Do you remember that one?
I saw that one.
That
That one I
one.
saw the whole thing.
That one. That was the
I
worst
know.
one.
That's all I've been thinking about since we started
That
talking.
was the
Yeah.
worst fucking one easily. It was so. Oh my fucking god. That one was rough.
That was
Um.
what an inventive trap. That was pretty crazy.
Holy shit.
But that I was like, that's the kind of innovation that I don't want to see.
It
Um,
that
so
yeah, if we
you
were in
know,
the theater together during
whew,
like that trap in particular, that's what I was saying where I was glad I was alone in this theater because I was like moving. I was fucking moving around during these scenes. Like I could not stay still. I was like, this is the worst thing, like, to watch this. Like, I
Yeah.
hated it.
That's why I was just like, okay, the next one that happens, I'll see the result, but I don't need to see it in progress when they
It
do the
definitely was
flashback.
not as the one
Because
you.
I knew that's how they're gonna do it for that one.
It definitely was not as bad. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
that was definitely the worst one for sure. That one was not enjoyable either, but you know. Yeah, so but what was I going to say? So this movie for me, I mean, we said some things we like about it. I'll throw in something that you know, what kind of didn't work for me with this movie. This movie is kind of has an identity crisis. This movie doesn't really know. I think this movie knows what it wants to be, but it doesn't commit enough to become what it wants to be.
See, I disagree. I think that it tries to bring two separate things into one and fails.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean. I think maybe I just explained that poorly. I thought that's what I was saying, but maybe that's not what I was saying.
Like, I think that they um yeah, I don't think there was any identity crisis about it. I think they knew that this is what we're gonna do. It just didn't mesh together in the end.
Okay, so I was just maybe I was just using that term wrong then. But yeah, I agree. That's what I meant. I like this movie. I literally like wrote this down in my notes so much. This movie wanted to be Seven so bad. This movie wanted to be Seven so fucking bad. It's insane how much this movie wanted to be that movie. It is, not to mention the fact that the movie opens with Chris Rock, a hardened detective, getting paired with the new chip on the block, who is ideology. It's fucking absurd.
Sorry.
It is so absurd.
That's a trope as old as time, though. But you're absolutely right.
With the context of this movie and what this movie like is going for, it's so funny.
I think you're spot on, because it's tough to do that with, again, because you have to incorporate the Saw elements, and those are you can't. This is such a great movie to make an example of, because when you have the Saw elements, the traps, the gruesomeness, they're gonna overshadow anything you try and mix in there.
Yeah.
So even, like I said, I think that there was a movie in that other part, in the Chris Rock detective part. There's a movie there, but it's not the same movie as this crazy, insane violence, grotesqueness that we're seeing. That's gonna undercut any groundwork you lay beforehand. It's gonna that's all anybody's gonna be able to. So there's no going back and forth between that. That's it.
It's really difficult to do that. I agree. And
while we're goodness, sorry, go ahead.
I also was just gonna say, I think another thing that ruins some of this movie, well, the whole movie. I think the worst part about this movie isn't even the fact that it's just trying to like be Seven. The worst part for me is the dialogue in this movie. The dialogue in this movie, no one can save it. No one can fucking save the dialogue in this movie. It is so just not. It's so cliche. It is so cheesy and so cliche. Chris Rock, there's nothing he could do. There's nothing. And honestly, hearing it come out of Chris Rock's mouth, it was like I was hearing his comedy routine. Like, it was hard to take serious because of just what the dialogue was. Like, it was almost like hearing it out of Chris Rock's mouth was like him making fun of it.
Didn't have a huge problem with the dialogue overall. Uh, it's just, again, this is that when you make a movie like this, sometimes you feel obligated to put in certain lines that are staples of the genre. And,
Mm,
on some level, people expect that. I think that there's probably pressure to do it. So some of that stuff I didn't have a huge problem with.
but
While we're talking
like,
about Chris Rock, some of those lines were really rough. There were
yeah.
Chris Rock, there were some moments that I really enjoyed watching him in this movie
Mm-hmm.
when he was seemingly more relaxed, but for moments of like plot points,
Yeah.
uh it was not it just wasn't that good.
Yep. A lot of
The
the
moments
yeah.
where he was like very relaxed and almost riffing in a way, I mean, I was like, "Oh, this guy is
Yeah.
phenomenal," and I really got a sense of who the character was. But in the other moments, it's like
I
this
don't
is
know who
it's
to
it was also
trust.
so there was also such a just juxtaposition there. So
Yeah, whenever that line, the one that stands out to me is when he's like, "How am I supposed to do this when I can't even know who to trust?" And it's like, oh god. Like I couldn't tell if it was the delivery or the line, like it didn't work.
I think it
Like,
was probably a combination.
yeah. But I
It was
agree,
wild.
like when he was calm and collected, it was very like when he was more like low key energy. It was very well done. Um,
The just like the in between moments,
yeah,
he was
yep,
solid. And
yeah,
then again, some of the more pertinent, I don't even know if I'm using that right, but like I said, some of like the plot moments
mm-hmm,
where something is happening in the scene to move the movie forward. Uh, it just felt, especially having those other scenes. Like I said, there's just a huge juxtaposition there that really made it stand out even more.
yeah. It was just really, it was just tough because this movie is trying to be taken very seriously, and it's kind of hard to take this movie seriously. I was having a very hard time taking this movie seriously because of the dialogue. That's why it was such a
Mm,
hindrance to me. Um,
yeah.
I also wanted to say the jump scares were pretty obnoxious. There's like there's not like too many of them, but like they're just so poorly done. It's just like annoying. Like it's not like none of them are well done. Um so yeah, I don't like a bad jump scare, and there's like at least 5 of them in this movie. Um they're just like lazy, very lazy. Um and yeah, I do want to say the best part about this movie, which is the shots and the lighting. Easily the best part of the movie. Very well. There are some very good shots and camera movements. There are also there's some very creative and good lighting. Um, I do want to say though, on the flip side, there are a couple shots that like are good, but like I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but do you know like those shots that are like good, but like they're like they don't fit in the movie? Like they look good, but they don't fit in the movie you're watching. I'll specifically say the shot because not only is it in the trailer, but it also like it doesn't spoil anything by saying what the shot is. It's a shot of Chris Rock walking away from one of the scenes, and he is covered in this green lighting. And then all the police people are going past him, and they're covered in a completely different color of lighting. And it's like a very like the shot like stands out, but like and it's a nice looking shot, but it didn't to me, it did not fit with the movie at all. So it just seems like out of place. Like, does that make sense? Like, it just didn't seem like it was in the.
No, of course. No, that makes perfect sense. I'm making that face to decide if I agree with you that that should be a problem, and I do. I think you're right because I did like how that shot looked a lot. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, yeah, absolutely, it
it just
certainly
felt
didn't it
weird.
certainly didn't fit.
And I there's other shots in the movie that don't have that problem, but that shot when I saw it, I was like, this movie's trying so like it's trying very like like that was the shot where I was like, this is really trying to be something it's not, like, in my opinion. Like,
Maybe in that one shot, I see what you're
yeah.
saying now. Sure.
Um, but anyhow, um, yeah, it's you know, and also I thought the ending was not good. The ending sucked. I thought the ending of this movie was so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was
It
unsatisfying,
was very
but
unsatisfying.
it was super unsatisfying. But I almost like, but there are things that I liked. I think that it fit the movie very well.
It just ended so
Like it makes,
it was so
yeah,
cheesy.
but
It
that
was like such
that
a silly ending.
it was silly, I guess. Yeah, that very
like
end.
like Chris Rock
Yeah, that's
just
true. But
yeah.
taking that silliness aside, the moment itself, it's like I think that they wanted it to be unsatisfying, which I
Sh-
know seems counterintuitive because it
sure.
is, but
Sure. Ending with this is yeah, I agree. Ending with the moment they ended on, I like. The having it end
just
with
that,
that,
yeah,
I like. But the way it happened literally at the very end was so
yeah,
bad. It was so terrible.
okay,
It ruins the whole
yeah, that's
tone
true.
of what just happened. Which I will say that was crazy. And the composition of that and the foreshadowing that they got to do with that was great. I actually did like that a lot. That was actually one of the best parts of the movie. Um, Easily. Because I didn't see that coming. And then when that happened, I was like, oh, that's actually really, like, that's a cool
Yeah,
idea. Like, that's a cool visual idea. So, that's actually probably the best instance of mixing the traps and the story.
story, right?
So, yeah.
That's true.
Anyhow,
All right, you
yeah,
ready to rate this thing?
I
Okay.
am indeed. Um,
Hmm.
I'm gonna give it, I've been going back and forth on two scores. I'm gonna give it 5.5 juice boxes out of 10.
Yeah,
It just,
I think that that's a solid score,
yeah,
and yeah, I'll give it oh boy, I'll give it I'll give it a, slightly higher than that. I'll give it a 6 because some of the things that I really didn't like are things that just are not for me.
yeah. I'm not,
But there's
yeah.
some things that are so good that it bumps it up a little. At
I
the end of the
want,
day, there's a lot that this movie does wrong, and there's a few things that
yeah,
it does right.
yeah,
And that also can vary on who you are watching this.
yes. I
No,
wanna,
I understand why you gave it the score you did. You
no,
know,
but I just want to say, like, I just want to reiterate one more time that the score I'm giving it isn't because I didn't like it. I don't
the
particularly enjoy
grossness.
the grossness. It
Yeah,
has nothing to do with that. I actually think that was the most well done part of the movie, um, even though it's
yeah.
not for me. Um, I just yeah, I said what I said. So um, yeah. I was the two scores I was between though was a 5.5 and a 6. So, but I just yeah, I don't think I'll ever rewatch this movie. But I don't regret watching it. That's for sure. Um, and
Yeah,
it does not overstay its welcome. It's an hour and a half, and
it's true.
it is an hour and a half clean, very clean hour and a half. Um, well, clean might be the wrong word, but anyway, that's that is Spiral. Um, didn't wasn't Chris Rock in the new season of Fargo too? It
Mhm.
kind of makes me interested in checking that out because I'm curious how he does in that role compared to this. I've never even watched
I
Fargo
know.
though, so I'd have to start from the beginning. But I know that show is very like
Not
one-off
really.
season, but
Yeah.
like True Detective
You
is.
still want to get all that?
Yeah, I like watching those kind of shows still from the beginning to
Yeah, I
see
got you.
like yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um
I watched the first season of Fargo. It was good.
yeah.
It was very good.
I still haven't seen that movie. I got to watch that movie. Um it's definitely on the list. But yeah, we got one more for the show today. Um,
Throwback.
yeah, the throwback. Very excited for this one. I know you are as well. So yeah, why don't you introduce this one?
Yeah, let me jump into this one. I'm gonna say this in a way that I think you'll find a little different.
Oh boy.
The year is 1976, America's bicentennial, and its favorite son, Apollo Creed, is on an unprecedented run at the top of his career as the heavyweight champion of the world, 46 fights undefeated. He decides to do a big event to celebrate 200 years of America. But when he is at the top and nobody can beat him, how does he get people excited? So he decides that he's going to fight a fighter with no name, Rocky Balboa, a
Mm-hmm.
local guy from Philadelphia who has maybe never reached his full potential prime, whatever. Some people calling him bum. And then Rocky. So that's so then the two fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously not the other way to describe this movie is from Rocky's perspective, which is the one that the movie is from.
Mm-hmm.
Just Rocky is the fighter that I described. He gets this opportunity, and then he trains harder than he's ever trained before, and he shows the world what he's made of, and it's super impressive. This might be the best movie ever. This might be the best movie of all time.
I wouldn't say that.
There's so many things that I like about it. Well, I okay, I'm not gonna make you, but it might be the best movie of all time. I'll start with saying this. So 1976, Sylvester Stallone wrote this movie, which is
Mm-hmm.
incredible to think about. Um, this is a movie that I think if you ask a lot of people like what year this came out, they would say the 80s, people who are less familiar.
Yeah.
Also some for some reason I think because they're like thinking about Rocky 4, but I think that this movie the way that it presents itself, there's on the back end of the 70s here, there's something I think that has a little bit of that 80s hopeful idealism,
Mm-hmm.
but it's shot like a 70s movie and there's still a lot of that 70s grittiness into this movie. It lays over this movie like a blanket. But if you look under the blanket, I think there's what I was talking about before, a little bit of the 80s whatever that word is, attitude,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I can't even think of it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some thing. Like I love that this movie was shot in such a 70s style. There were a few there was really just one shot that I kind of wish it didn't feel right. It was right when Rocky gets told that he's gonna have the fight, and that push in on him. I didn't like that push, but it but that push felt really really 70s. When he's sitting in the chair, it's a
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
you might not remember, but um, that push in because they sit on him for a while in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, and then they do that such an aggressive push in, like that
Mm-hmm.
feels very much 70s But I did, yeah. I would have liked it if they had just sat on him more. Because I get it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what's he thinking? What's he gonna do now? This is his moment. But it almost would have felt closer to the character to me if they had actually just stayed far away from him. Because I think that in that moment, there's a lot of things that are going through Rocky's head in that moment. And I think it's more of an out of body experience for him. And
I
when
could
this movie is so incredible, Joe.
I
He
could see
doesn't
it
even.
done
Here's the thing.
both ways.
Here's the thing. Let me learn you something here, Joe.
Oh boy. Okay.
He's not even. He trains harder than he's ever trained, and he's not even training to win. And at the end of this movie, well, we have to. Well, God, I'm gonna jump around a lot here.
Okay.
So let's. One more thing about the shooting. At the end of the boxing match, it's very interesting to me that the only time the camera is in the ring is when he's, during like between rounds.
Yeah.
So we're literally in his corner, but we're not fighting with him, which is
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Because when he's fighting, the camera's all on the outside. That was very curious, but it was
Pretty
cool.
cool choice.
Also, the song, how does it go?
Da, da, da,
That Rocky. Now I'm forgetting it.
da, 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 da.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The lyrics for that song, did you listen to them?
Oh.
It's just people singing in the background.
Yeah.
Did you hear what they were saying?
One of them I heard. It was funny. Oh, I can't remember now. Is it
It's
Keep
just
on Running?
the lyrics are just that might be in part of it, but the lyrics are just trying hard now, trying hard now,
Yeah.
getting strong now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so funny, but it sounds great. It sounds incredible. But I'm
It's
like, yeah,
pretty nuts.
this is
He
him
is.
trying hard
Keep
and
trying
getting
harder.
strong. There he is. He's doing it.
This is the
Trying hard
this was
now.
the this was
This is the
the
moment where he's trying hard.
this was the influence for Work It Better, Faster, Stronger by Daft Punk. That's what the
The Kanye West song.
Yeah, you sip your fucking cherry Coca-Cola after saying that dog shit sentence.
What? It's not?
It's literally a Daft Punk song. What do you mean?
I think you're wrong.
Oh
Well,
my
I
god.
think you're wrong.
You're
Because-
actually infuriating me
No.
if you're not just trying to boil my blood.
No, I think that you
Kanye
are
West sampled
incorrect.
that song.
Okay, that's what happened?
Yes. The original is a Daft
Okay.
Punk song. The Kanye West song.
Oh my god. You know what? Anybody that's like, oh, you don't know about this music, I got an idea for you. Go jerk off in your own face. How about that? Not you, Joe. I'm not saying that to you.
You are, but that's okay.
But people that do the thing you just did.
I really thought, no, the reason, let me just say, the reason why I reacted so harshly is because I thought you were fucking with me, and I thought you were actually, like, trying to get a rise
No,
out of me.
I 100% had no idea.
Because I would normally never,
I would have thought.
Okay, because I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about, like, if people don't, like, know something. Like, I'm not going to be a dick about it and be like, oh, you didn't even know that? Like, I would never react like that. But I genuinely thought you were trying to fuck with me there. So I was like,
No.
That's why I was reacting like that.
Now I'm ashamed that I didn't know that, but I had no idea.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to
Yeah, I always thought that was that's so funny though. That's a Kanye West song. Classic.
I really thought, because you fuck with me so much, I really thought that was.
Sorry.
No, you don't.
And you know what?
I'm the one apologizing.
You know what? It did sound like I was when we were getting into it, and I apologize to you, Joe.
No, we apologize to each other. We're both sorry.
We apologize to each other. Okay, but what else did I?
Anyway.
Okay. keep it on the train here.
Yeah.
Talia Shire, who plays Adrian, maybe one of the most underrated actresses of all time. She was in the Godfather movie. She plays
Mm-hmm.
the daughter of Marlon Brando, and she's really great
Mm-hmm.
for the even in the small parts that she has. In this,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that says any different in this movie is a lunatic because she
Mm-hmm.
plays this very. But in that moment when she stands up to Polly, that's that moment. I mean, that's it right there. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
She's
it is.
incredible.
It is really
So I
good.
had to say that.
I do gotta say,
And talking about Polly,
I
it's incredible.
I do gotta say, Rocky and her's chemistry, it does blossom, and I do think it by the end it's it's
Yeah,
obviously very much there, but when it starts out, it's very hard to watch.
it's like what is going on?
It reminded me of I didn't like it, and it reminded me of it gave me similar vibes to the Deckard and the Deckard and Android whatever the Deckard situation where it's not as bad because that situation there is no chemistry. In this one there is, but it's just like I don't know the way they did it. It gave me like a bad feeling. Like I didn't like it. I was like I felt very uncomfortable like watching it.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's just because of
Me
how
too.
the narrative of like that situation has changed now. Um, and maybe that's not the way to describe it, but like the way the perspective of now is completely different than the perspective of then.
Hmm.
So it's just like looking on it now, it's like ooh, like that's kind of not a great thing,
Yeah,
but
because it does seem like Rocky's just a guy that can't take a hint,
yeah,
and then it obviously becomes something where it feels like, whether this is true or not, it does start to feel more like Adrian is just very shy and like didn't want to,
yeah.
even if she had wanted to be with Rocky before, did not want to actually like open herself up to that.
Yeah, so like I said, by the, after the beginning part, it's like you see like it blossom and you see that, that oh, like it doesn't seem like it was like, too forced upon and like,
Yeah.
but like it just the way it was kind of portrayed and how it was done to get there was just a little like I did not remember it like that. And I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ. Like
Me neither.
this is crazy." Like I like
Yeah, I know what you
it
mean.
really does portray it like you can't take a hint. And I think that they should
Yeah.
have maybe if it was made today, it definitely would have been portrayed differently. Um but
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so that's like that's all I wanted to say about that relationship because that like stood out to me and I was like, ooh, this is like a lot different looking on it now than it would have been like when I would like but I agree, her acting's really good. Her acting's really well done.
Phenomenal. I don't, thinking about it now,
Oh, the
every
good dog
every
too.
all of the, oh my gosh, phenomenal
I
dog.
love that dog.
That was so great. Man, dude, Sylvester Stallone is Rocky Balboa in this
Yeah,
movie.
I mean,
And in
yeah.
that moment when he does interact with the dog and he's just in the street, like, that's so natural and so Rocky.
This
It's
movie
like,
was all just one
this movie is
takes.
amazing.
This movie's all just one takes. Like,
If you told me that, I'd believe it.
yeah.
Because when he drinks those eggs, I'm like, I hope he didn't have to do that too many
Dude,
times. Because they nailed
holy
it right there.
shit.
How many times could you mess
I
that
thought he
up?
was
I
gonna
have no
stop
idea.
after 3, and then he kept going, and I was like,
Mhm.
how many, man?
Three's nothing.
Didn't he do 6, or
Enough to, you got to drink the whole glass, Joe.
was it 6 or like
I did
12?
not count. I did
It
not
was a
have
lot.
my
It was a
counter.
fucking lot of
It
them.
wasn't 12.
No, it wasn't 12.
We
You're
would
right.
have been sitting there forever if it was
But it
12.
was at least, I
But
think it was at least 6. It was at least 6. Maybe 8. It was crazy, though. That was nuts. Um, oh, it was kind of
the other
gross.
things that I
I
wanted to
kind of,
mention,
yeah.
Oh, of course it was disgusting when it
Yeah,
was
I wish
he
it.
was chugging it and it
I
was
kind of
coming
wish it was
cool.
a. I agree. I kind of hope that was a one take because that's pretty sick if it was. That imagine how badass you must feel after that take. Like imagine.
0% badass. You're full of
No,
raw eggs.
no Sylvester like he is Rocky Balboa and Rocky Balboa was feeling himself in that moment, which means Sylvester was.
I don't think so.
The Italian stallion
Um,
was going off in that moment. That's all I'm saying.
Another thing that endeared me to Rocky's
Mm-hmm.
character, or this was such a perfect way to show his character a little
Mm-hmm.
better, was at the press conference, and I liked how they like play. He was watching it back when they played it on TV when he was
Mm-hmm.
at the press conference with Apollo Creed when he's up there and they're like, "What are you gonna? How are you gonna fight Apollo?" He's like, "Well, you know, he's a good fighter." It's like, "Hey, can I say it, my girlfriend?" And he's and
Yeah.
then he like lights up right there. I was like, "Oh, this guy, he's just a guy, man. He's just doing his thing."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wanted to also mention Burt Young, who plays Polly, gets an excellent scene in this movie. Does very well. It's the same scene with Adrian. Um,
Yeah.
he that guy looks so much like a '70s actor that it's unbelievable. And like, look, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. He's not a good-looking fella, but he's so perfect for that role.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's something that people would do today. Also, shout out to Burgess Meredith, who plays Mickey,
Yeah.
TV's very own Penguin, and from Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah, I gotta say,
Phenomenal. So great
his
as that character.
his performance stood out to me more in this movie than it did the first time I watched it. It
Oh yeah.
his I am still after just watching it. I'm still kind of confused. Like I'm not confused, but like their dynamic, Rocky and his dynamic are very interesting. Um,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, there's a really good scene, and it's one of the best scenes in the movie. It's the one where he comes to Rocky's house, and uh, he like Rocky obviously like doesn't. It's so like hard to watch because Rocky just isn't like he is very obviously like not interested in like listening to what he has to say. And then he leaves, and then Rocky like just goes like he right when he leaves he feels like he can like let it all out. And that scene is like that's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie actually. Just him, and it's weird, but him yelling at a door is just like it was kind of just so it was just crazy like how much like
It was
energy is in that scene.
perfect.
But
Perfect.
I I got to say I still, and this is just a me thing, I think, because I don't know if I've had a relationship like this one, like that they have, like that kind of like, but like, I didn't, like, it really seems like this guy did really nothing good for him, because we don't really see the good things that he's done for him. So when he said all that stuff, I was like, oh yeah, like that was really good. And I didn't think that he was gonna go back after him, but then he does, and like
Mhm.
he's like I'm sorry, like he looks like he apologizes and like so I wonder like so that part like kind of confused me not because like I think the movie is like messed up that relationship. I just don't think I
Sure.
personally can relate to that kind of like a like relationship.
Yeah, here's the thing. Oh man, how was I gonna start that sentence? Shit. To put it frankly,
Mm-hmm.
Rocky didn't have any other options.
Yeah.
Like he knew that Mickey had a point about getting someone to manage or to help train him,
Yeah.
and he didn't have anywhere to go. Even if they had had disagreements in the past,
Mm-hmm.
they were kind of forced together. And that doesn't mean that they don't like each other, because I think ultimately they do. But, if they had had any other options, then they'd probably would not have gone down that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a relationship. It's a love spread from sprung from need
Yeah,
rather than
I
natural
think
connection.
I think that uh also like it's one of those things where like Rocky, like after he got all of that out, he like kind of like was like, okay, like, you know,
Yeah,
now
of course.
let's move on.
They could move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, but that's my favorite scene in the whole movie easily. I also gotta say, you know what scene I also really liked is the scene where also Apollo, the guy who plays Apollo Creed,
Carl Weathers.
he destroys. He is so fucking good in this movie. Like, he's not in it that much. Like, you know, compared to Rocky, obviously, he's not in it a whole lot. But he doesn't need to be. Like, he just destroys every scene that he's in. And I gotta say, like, he plays the character so well. And it just, you know, his manager is like, even in the beginning tries to warn him about like Rocky. But this is the thing, Apollo, and there's a line in the point in the fight that I thought was perfect. It's like where the coach, or the manager, like is saying to Apollo, he goes, he's not playing for the show, he's playing, he's here for the fight.
He doesn't know this is a show. He thinks this is a fight.
Yeah. So it was like that. You could just, I love that, like, they showed that disconnect visually and so well, because Apollo, especially in the first round, is very obviously like not taking it seriously. And yeah, I just really like, that fight, the whole way they did that whole fight is just really well done. Like you said, the shots are really well done. The whole positioning of the camera is really great. It's a really good visually it's just really well done, because they do a great job of showing people who don't know boxing, because most of the people watching this movie probably don't know boxing. So they do a great job of showing boxing in a way that's very easy to understand who is on top in this scenario. Like, they show the power, like they show who is in power visually very well. Like,
yeah,
it's very well done. It's a great, the end just has really good visual storytelling. Like, very, very well done. I gotta say, some of the launch shots, it was kind of easy to see, like, the punches not connecting.
That was part of it. Like, they weren't, so like they weren't trying to make it look like they were connecting.
Oh.
That was just Apollo playing with Rocky.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm talking about like later in the fight, even later in the fight, because I'm not talking about the first round.
Well, then I have no idea what you're talking about. So
Oh.
I guess
it just seems like maybe my eyes were playing
so.
tricks
Probably
on me.
not.
But yeah, I know in the first round he was doing that. I thought it was I remember it later on. It was like one of the overhead shots. It looked like the punches really weren't connecting. But I don't know, like, who knows? My eyes could have been playing tricks on me. But either way, not really a issue either way. The only other thing I really want to say, other than like the only other bad thing I really want to say that kind of didn't age well, is some of the audio splicing in this movie is really not good. They had to do overdubbing, it looks like, in this movie a few times, and they just couldn't splice it in like very well. And like, it doesn't ruin the movie. It's just, it's very noticeable when it's just very noticeable dubbing. Like, it's very noticeable. Like, in the last scene, it's very noticeable because all the sound cuts out other than the manager trying to talk to him. So it's a little jarring. But it's not like the whole movie's like that. It's just like, when it happens, it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. which is a bummer, especially in that last fight, because you're so into that last fight. So when you hear the dubbing in that last fight, it is kind of a bummer because it does take you out of like this really like intense fight. But
Yeah, I guess that's true. But what are you gonna do?
yeah, but other than that, this like the last fight in the end is just really well done. It does kind of end out of nowhere. Um
It ends in the most perfect place ever, Joe. It ends in the most perfect
I do
place
like it.
ever.
It was more abrupt than I remembered. But I did really like it. Like I do like love the I love that he just like I really do like the whole ending with him and Adrian. Like that's a really good. It's really well
Oh,
done.
great. The way they shoot that too, like
Adrian.
with when they're giving the decision and all,
Oh, cuz he doesn't
and
give a
we
shit.
like no.
Cuz the whole
That's the
I
thing.
mean,
Wasn't even fighting to win.
he says the night before.
I can't beat him.
Yeah. But
You know what I love about that scene
you do
also
think
is
that
when
he
he
could
goes,
beat him.
I can't beat him. Yeah, it looks like it at one point. That's the other thing. Imagine watching this movie and like not knowing what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
It would
Well,
be the most tense thing ever.
they call it a split decision. So I mean, it was basically as close to a tie as you can get almost. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it was again. It sounds like it was. No one had ever gone the distance with Apollo Creed
Mhm.
before. We know that, and yeah, split decision. So it was.
Because I
Yeah, the
don't know.
best that anybody could have done.
Yeah, I don't know how scoring really works, but I know it has to do with like, hits and form and stuff. And
Mhm.
they were both landing a lot of blows on each other. So like and like so I think it is cool that like and I also like that Apollo was like no rematch. Like you'll never or what does he say? He says,
Ain't gonna be a rematch. There ain't gonna be a rematch.
"Yeah, I don't know exactly what he was trying to like what did that was that like a good thing that he was saying that or was that like a not good thing that he was saying that? Like was he saying that out of respect or was he saying that out of like
No, he was saying that out of I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
oh, okay. So he was like not happy about that. Okay.
No, I actually watched the very opening scene to Rocky 2 right after
Mhm.
that, and it takes place right after the fight, and they both are on
Mhm.
their way to the hospital, and Apollo Creed is just furious.
Oh. Oh. Okay. That's why he says there's not going to be a rematch. But wouldn't he want a rematch if he wanted to beat him up? I just
Well, because he was saying that to him, like I'm gonna knock you out. You're not gonna go the distance with me. Rocky did go the distance with him. So
oh.
in the opening of the second one, Apollo Creed does say something about a rematch, and Rocky goes, but he's, it's so funny.
What does
But
he
he
say?
goes, yeah, you said there wasn't gonna be a rematch. But he says it so matter of fact. He's like, but he's almost like, oh, but you must not remember. Is kind of the way he
Yeah.
delivers the line in the
Yeah.
opening of the second one. It's like, oh, but you said that, Apollo, you said there was going to be a rematch.
Cuz I don't
So
think
funny.
that makes
So
sense
good.
though because I also don't think Rocky doesn't understand why Apollo's mad. Like Rocky is like
I no, I think he does. I think again, he doesn't really care.
yeah.
Like his job is done, so his
Mhm.
connection to that moment and he's already moved on.
Yeah. He is a
He's
great
out of there.
character though. I
He's
got
with Adrian. That's the
yeah.
important thing
It
for
is
him.
a great character.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it is a great character. I got to say he yeah, this movie just really does hold up though. There are some weird moments that like do a good job of showing his character, but like I got to say like his relationship with the mob boss guy I think is a little out of place in this movie. I understand like it shows like, what he's doing as a side hustle, and it also shows his character when he doesn't break the guy's thumb. But the way it is in the movie, it like I don't know. It felt like a weird like I don't know. To me, it just didn't like fit as well as I like thought it was. I don't know. For some reason, it just didn't fit very well for me.
Look, I mean, look, I get it. I hear what you're saying. Typically, because that's his job, right? So typically, you'd think that would be more a part of the movie.
Hmm.
But it's at the end of the day, it's not the story. So
No,
this
I
movie, I
know.
think, does a great job of getting away with
Hmm.
just having that as background information,
Hmm.
because it's got nothing to do with nothing,
Yeah.
and you can
True.
achieve everything else by just Polly asking to give. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I didn't miss it at all. In fact, I liked it so much better that they didn't make that a point because it would have taken away that. Imagine that you stop the movie at some
Yeah.
point to go have some kind of big interaction, whatever. There, that would
No. Yeah.
it'd be like,
Yeah.
why is this? Why is this part of it?
Yeah. It is good though. It's a great movie. It watching it after all these years. It's like really. It was just very. It's a hype movie, man. Like the music,
The
the
hype
soundtrack is
movie.
insane. Like that song
Yeah,
is just nuts. That song is really nuts.
getting
Um,
stronger.
I like that they play the sad piano version of it like a few times throughout. That was so funny. I know it's
So
not
good,
supposed to be funny,
so
but it is
good.
very funny. Um, because it's just like, of course. But yeah. What are you gonna rate this one?
10 out of 10 juice boxes, only
10
score.
out of 10.
That's the only possible score.
10 out of 10. Oh man. I gotta give it a 10 out of 10, but I could see it being a 9.5 as well. Because, and
Hmm.
I almost gave it a 9.5. And I still partly want to give it a 9.5, but I'm gonna give it a 10 because
Yeah,
I do
can
think it
see
is a
it.
classic. But 9.5 on some of the stuff that I don't think has aged very well, which I do think is fair. So,
I understand what I yeah, I
um,
get that. Mm.
so, but yeah, still a very great movie, and I think if you haven't seen it already, definitely watch it. It's I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever seen any of the other Rock. I have not seen Rock. I'm pretty confident I haven't seen Rocky 2. I haven't seen Rocky 3. I haven't seen Rocky 4. I've seen scenes from these movies, but I haven't seen the whole movie. Oh wait, no, I've seen Rocky Balboa. Um, that's the sixth one or the fifth one.
I think that it's one of those
It's
two.
either
I think it's.
five or
I want to
six.
say that one's fifth. Yeah,
Yes, so maybe there isn't a sixth one. Yeah, because I think it just ends with Rocky Balboa. But
yeah. I think it's five.
I have seen Rocky Balboa all the way through though.
Yep.
And a lot of people that's like that movie got a lot of mixed reactions because I know a lot of people don't really care for the other Rocky movies, but Rocky Balboa like got some mixed ones. Like some people really like it, some people really
Okay,
don't
so
like it.
Balboa is six.
Yeah,
I
okay, so
thought it
there
was
is
five.
Rocky 5. Um but what yeah. Yeah. It really made me sad though because like watching Creed and knowing kind of what happens to Rocky, it kind of made me sad like just because I like Adrian so much. Like just knowing it made it hurt even more like what happens to her. That shit that shit's rough. Like that shit's rough. I can't even remember which Rocky that happens in, but it's like that just sucks. Like cuz like you can just tell in this movie like how much Adrian means to him obviously. And then, she's gone in Rocky Balboa and she's gone in all the Creed movies. So it's like
Yeah.
you can just tell and it gives you even more context with like that hole that's kind of like left inside of him. And I mean that's why he like still visits like the cemetery and stuff, but yeah, it kind of made those moments like punch a
Yeah,
little harder.
it's true. I had the same thoughts watching this.
Yeah.
Like when he was with everybody else in this movie. All
Mhm.
of his everybody that he knew is dead now where we are
Yeah.
in this series of
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Rocky.
true. It's
Rocky.
crazy. Rocky really
And there's
doesn't
even a
have.
part.
Yeah.
There's even a part in. It might be in Creed. It might be in Balboa, but
Mm.
where he's like just naming all these people. He's like, Paulie,
I
like
think that's
dead.
Creed
Like I was
too.
just
I think
he's
that's Creed
gone and
too.
now yeah, like
Yeah,
they're
that
all,
is. I think I do remember that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But anyhow, yeah,
Jesus.
what a good throwback. What a good throwback to have. I actually already know what throwback we should do next week, and I'll tell you right after the show, and I'm excited for it because I think you'll be down for it. Um, anyhow, that is the show this week on Film Juice. Thank you for watching, listening, sticking around. Um, really, yeah, great. We had a great lineup of shit today, so very, very exciting stuff. Um, and yeah, if you want to stay up to date on all the, Film Juice news and updates, when we'll be doing the next watch party, stuff like that, and, when the new episode is up, go follow us on Instagram at film_juice. You can also follow us on Twitter at filmjuicepod. Check us out on YouTube if you're not already. Just Film Juice. We upload the video version of this podcast. And also the watch parties are there that you can watch along with us and see our reactions to things and our commentary. And, pretty cool. Some say it's better than a director's commentary. So definitely check it out. And if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Consider maybe when you're on your next drive, giving us a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or wherever you want to listen to podcasts. And yeah, I think that's all there is to it this week. Thanks again. As always, my name's Joe Dorado.
And I'm Andrew Canada, and we'll see you next time at the movies.